Hello? No. Okay. So again, sorry about the sound. Um, okay, we're gonna study today about the percents and percentages. The first problem is the basic level in SAT problem, and welcome to the SAT preparation um, class today. So we're gonna study about this problem. And the problem says, again, here, so suppose that we don't have this topic here, and we have a bookstore is having a sale, right? And every book is 25% off. So if it's saying about the 25% off, it's because we have a discount here, right? And that's a basic label. So we are gonna study more labels here. This other problem is about the intermediate problem in SAT, and this one is advanced problem in percentages, right? Um, so we are gonna study the first problem here. So okay, the booster is having a sale. Everybody is 25% off. So it means that the price uh, is below or is less than the original price that the problem is giving us, right? So this 20% off, so we need to subtract the 25% to 84, right? So look at this, the 25% is a percent value, and that's price value. So we could not subtract percents with prices, right? So are different units. So we need to find the 25% and then we need to subtract. Why do we need to subtract? It's because it's 25% off. So we need to discount the value to the $84, right? So the problem is, what is the 25% off 84? So the trick here is reminding that the 25% is the same that divided by 4. 25% is always is the same than divide by 4, right? So if we try dividing by 4 here, is that we need to divide the number 84 by 4. But a good question could be why we need to divide by 4. So it's because the number 25 plus 25 plus 25 is 100. The, the name percent is by cents, and cents means divided by 100, right? So if we add 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25, that's 100, right? So it means the 100%. So just 125 is 1/4 or all of those, right? So 25% is the conclusion here is the same that divided by 4. So we need to find the 25% of 84. We need to divide the number 84 by 4. 84 have to be divided by 4, but I don't really like and I don't really recommend dividing by this method, right? It's not the greatest method to divide in the SAT. The best way could be dividing using a line here and dividing 2 times by 2. So divided by 4 is the same that divided 2 times by 2. An example could be, suppose that we need to find the half of 100, right? The fourth part of 1,000, right? So we need to divide the number by 4. So the best way that I usually use is first I divide the number 100 by 2. So it's a 500, right? And then I'm again divide by 2. So I divide by 2 again, so it is 225. So 2 times divided by 2 is the same as divided by 4, right? So that's the greatest method to find the 25%. So the first time that I need to divide by 2 is 42, right? The half of 8 is 4 and the half of 4 is 2. So then we have the number 42. And then we divide again by 2. And if we divide again by 2, that is the half of 2. 4 is 2, and the half of 2 is 1. So it's 21, right? But what is the 21 value? The 21 is the 25% of 84 is the 25% of 84. But that's not the final price. Look at this. You need to differentiate between the 25% off, which is the $21, and the final price. The final price includes the discount. When I say this include the discount, is that we need to subtract 21 from 84. So we need to do this, the subtraction here. 84 from subtract by 21, right? So it will be 4 minus 3, minus 1 is 3, minus 2 is 6. So it's 63 USD dollars, right? So that's the way, and that's the equation, that's the result here to find. Okay, let's continue with that's the basic problem, right? About the percent or percentages. Um, but don't feel maybe uh, with too much confidence about percentages, because sometimes percentages problems could be really hard. So the concept is pretty easy, but some problems could be really hard, right? So let's continue with other problems here. It says that a school has, it's an intermediate level. A school has 480 students, right? So I really like represent that number like a circle. The total number is 480 students. And now we have a percent or percentage here. And the question is, what is the 35% of this number? I suppose that is the question. And look at this, that I don't read all the problem and then I try to solve it. No, I'm always reading the problem and instantly I'm solving the problem. Why? Why do you think? So I'm saving time doing that. If you try reading all the problem first, then you lost time reading first all the problem. So if first I try reading the problem, and while I'm reading, I'm solving, I'm writing, so I'm understanding pretty quickly the problem. So it means why I'm reading the 408 students, and I'm writing the circle here. So if 35% of the students participate in at least one school club, how many students participate in the club, right? So we need to find the 35% of that number, right? Um, so the hard problem here is, okay, finding the 25% is divided by 4, right? How do we find the 35% of the number 480? What is the best way and way the, the easiest way to find the 35%? I'm not using calculator, right? I just need to use my mind and my pencil, right? So I have a great technique to find the 35%. It begins finding the 10%. Why the 10%? Because if I find the 10%, then I find 10 more. So then I have 20%, right? And then I have 10 more, and they have 30%, almost 35. And then I found the 5%. How do we find the 5%? Is the half of 10%. Is the half of the value that we finding the 10%. So that's why I think finding the 10% is the best way to find the 35%. So the 10% now is the most common percentage that we need to find in this topic, because then we could find the 35, 45%, 55, any number 5%, right? Um, Okay, let's try. How do we find the 10% of 480? So the best way of finding the 10% is divided by 10 now. Why? Because 10 times 10 is 100, right? So that's why we divide by 10. It doesn't mean that if we need to define or find 20% of any number, we need to define by 20. No, that's not the concept. That just occur by 10%. Okay? So the best news here is that we could divide this number by 10. We could cancel now the number 0, and then we get the 80 what? 80 students. 80 students, right? Don't forget writing which number it means. Sometimes students are confusing about the number that we are finding. Sometimes they think that is um, um, a percent or maybe dollars, price, pences. So the units are pretty important to find or to understand the problem, right? So, okay, the conclusion now is first, to find the 10%, we need to divide by 10. And to find the 35%, the best way is find the 10% and we multiply by 3 because that's 30. 3 times 10 is 30. And then we add the 5%, which is the half of 10, right? So we now know that the 48 students are the 10%. 10%, 10% is 48 students, right? And what about 10 more? So it is, oh wait, students. 10 more are 48 students more, right? And 10 more, so here now we have 30%, are 48 students more. And now what is the 5%? So we thought that the 5% is the half of 10, right? Of 10%, because half is the half of 10. So the 20% is 48, the 5% is the half too. The half of 10 is 5. So we need to find the half of 48. What is the half of 48? So the half of 4 is 2, the half of 8 is 4. So it's 24. So then we need to add all those numbers. We need to add them. Why? Because 10 plus 10 is 20, plus 10 is 30, plus 5 is 35, right? And then we add all those numbers. But what is the best way to add all those? So I prefer multiplying the 48 by 3 here, 48 by 3, 48 by 3. So which is 3 times 8 is 4, 3 times 24, I mean, and 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2 is 144, right? Yeah, that's correct. And then we have all those numbers, the 348 students, and then we add the 24, 24 plus 24. So 4 plus 4 is 8, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 168, right? So that's the number of students that um, that completed 35%. How many students participate in the club? The 35%, but 35% is not the number of students, it's the number of percent or the percentage. So we need to find the number of students is 168, right? So is the answer is here. Okay. So what if we need to find the 45%? Now 35. Why we need to find the 45%? What would be the method now? So that's pretty easy too. Now, we don't need to multiply the 10% by 3, which completes 30. So we need to add one more 10%, one more 84. So then we need to multiply the 84 not by 3. Instead of 3 is 4, right? So the value will be different, right? Okay, That's the problem label number 2, and then it's intermediate label in SAT. So I really like dividing the SAT between between three levels, right? The basic is between 400 score and 500. If you are between this um, interval, so then I think that is a label, a basic level, right? If you are between 500 and 650, by 650, then you are maybe intermediate, right? And if you are more than 650, then you are advanced. And yeah, there are labels in advanced, and you could improve, right? Um, okay, let's continue then with the question number 2, which is the advanced. It says a smartphone costs 680, 640. The store advertise a 15% discount. So we need to subtract 60, 640. We need uh, to subtract 5% of discount, but it's not 680 minus 15, right? So we need to find the 15%. And let's try it before finding all the problem. What is the 15% of 640? So the rule says first find the 10% and then 5%. What is the 10% of this number? It's just dividing by 10. Dividing the 640 by 10. So it disappears the 0 here. So which is just 64. 64 is the 10% of this number. It's divided by 10. We studied before, and disappears the 0. And how do we find the 5%? Is dividing by 2, the 10% divided by 2. So it's divided by 2, the 64, which is 32, right? The 32. So the 30%, the 15% is the addition of 64 plus 32. What is the addition? 4 and 2 are 6, 6 and 3 are 96. That is the 15% of 95. 95, oh wait, the 15 of 640, right? And that is 96. 96 what? 96 dollars, right? USD. And then the problem says first the discount. So the first step is the discount. That the first step, but the next step, the second one, after the discount, and 8% sales tax is applied to the discount price. So what means the sales tax? The sales tax is a tax that we need to pay additionally to the base price. But our base price now, what is our base price? It's not 600, right? It's not 640 because we applied the discount as 96. So we need to subtract the 96 discount. Apply here attention. That's not the final price. That is discount. So the discount has to be discounted. So we subtract here. 10 minus 6 is 4. Now that is 3. 13 minus 9 is 4 again. And 5, right? So it's 544. Is the new price. New price. A discount included, right? And finally, the provinces that we need to increase because the taxes are are increasing the price of 8%. But the 8% is applied to the discounted price, so have to be applied to this price. So the answer have to be more than this value. All those values are greater than 500, right? Look at that, are greater. So how many? So the 8%. So we need to find the 8% of that value. 8%, 8% of 544. So what is the way to find the 8% of 544? Now the technique of finding the 10%, I think is not the way. So there is a technique to find it. If you find the percent of a number, you just multiplying the number times, I mean, the 8% could be rewritten like A over 100. It means 8%, that the number 8 is divided by cents. I mean, um, 8%, right? So of, the letter of, or the word of, means times. So it could be really times 544. 544. So the quickly way to do it is multiplying those fractions. We need to multiply a over 100 and 544 over 1, or a whole over 1 have to be multiplied with this other fraction. So we need to multiply a by 500, right? And 44. 544 by 8. So 8 times 4 is 32. 2 and goes 3. 4 times 4 is 32 again. And plus 3, 44. Ah, wait, 32. 32 plus 3 is 35. 5 and goes 3. And 8 times 5, that is 40. And plus 3 is 43, right? So that number is A multiplied by 544. Is 4352. Back then we multiply 100 by 1, which is 100. So then we need to divide this number by 100, and that's pretty easy. Why? Dividing by 100 is just moving the comma here 2 units to left, 2 units left. 2 units left is because the 100 has 2 zeros. So if the 100 had 3 zeros, then we need to move 3 times left. So in this case, we need to move the comma 2 times left. So the value will be 43.52. That's the 8% of those values. This value, right? But what is the question? The question is not find the 8%. So the question is, what is the final price? The before price that we have is 500, right? And that is a tax, so have to be um, added to the new price that we had before. So we need to add the new price, the before new price, the new price. We need to add the new tax, and the tax is 43.62. Look at this. How is that I'm adding the numbers? That number doesn't have the point here, right? So I put the point and then I locate 2 zeros before to add with this other number. And then we add them. 0 plus 2 is 2, 0 plus 5 is 5, 4 and 3 are 7. The point have to be located at the same place. 4 and 4 are 8 here, and 5 is here. So that's the final price, 587, right? So 587 is that one, right? 587. Okay, my suggestion here is that try to solve the same problem yourself alone without my help, but the same problem. Um, don't feel happy just understanding the problem. Sometimes it could be you could feel great understanding just the problem, but we need to do math. We need to write. Um, Doing math is different than understanding math, right? And the final. Oh, that's the third problem. That's the final problem, right? Um, I have three problems more here to do in homework. That the section four, the question four, that is the um, basic problem. That's basic problem. Oh wait, let me hear. Independent practice. No. Oh yeah. Finding the percent of quantity. Right. That's independent practice. So that's the basic problem to independent practice. Doing homework. So take a pick or something like that. And that the intermediate problem, try to find that. Look at find how do we find the 24%. First, try finding the 20%. It's pretty easy to that. And then try finding the 4%. 4% remind is 4 over 100 multiplied by this number, right? But it's just the 4%, and you have to add with the 20%. And here, bicycle hams costs a $48, and a 25 discount. We thought about the 25 discount. Try to solve it, right? And wow, we have more independent practice here. Yeah, this problem, and finally this one, right? Okay, I think that's it by today. Um, Thank you by side that the video is not listening to, but now the problem will fix it, right? We are gonna study again the next class with percents and percentages. I think that we need to increase the level of the problem that we are solving. So, um, okay, I think that's it by today. So see you then the next Wednesday in same time, 7 p.m. East time, Puerto Rico time, um, and 6 p.m. is the Central time. So see you then the next Wednesday. Okay, see you.